This video is to help you be more efficient and effective when you comment on student papers. I'm going to give you 5 tips. The first tip is to resist copy editing when you read a paper. It's hard. When you first start reading, you want to mark everything you see. Typos, grammar errors, confusing sentences that you rewrite for the student, word transitions, and a thesis statement that doesn't provide a real argument. The problem with this approach is you end up with a paper that looks like this. And a student, A, doesn't know where to start in revising this paper, and B, you've spent a lot of time talking to them about lower level issues that are really not important until they really get that thesis statement worked out. So, also, if you copy edit this much, a student will rewrite their paper simply by incorporating your marks and do little else. So how do you work with this? First of all, you try to know what you most want students to learn in writing a particular paper. You want to have an idea of focusing on higher order issues in a particular paper, such as the thesis statement or an introductory paragraph or evidence. And you're probably in an early paper not going to focus on lower order issues like typos or minor grammatical mistakes. If a student has other problems with the paper, say with their spelling or typos or sentence structure, you can mark 1 or 2 examples, not all of them, and perhaps rewrite 1 problem sentence to show the student how it might be done. In comments at the end of the paper, you can summarize these main lower level issues and ask the student to find and correct other instances of them in the paper. Another way to avoid copy editing, but also to indicate to the student his or her overall strengths and weaknesses, is to use a check sheet or a rubric to fill out as you comment on a paper. Even though your grading comments may focus primarily on higher order issues like the introduction and thesis and evidence, you will still consider other issues in your grading, and the student will need to address these in a rewrite. So you can fill out this sheet, which also reminds students under each category what they're really supposed to be doing to do well on this particular aspect of the paper. Of course, these numbers don't translate directly into points off for the paper, but consider this checklist as an element of a holistic grading for the paper. The final 2 tips are practical ones to help you be more efficient in your commenting on papers. First, time yourself when you're commenting on papers and try to keep yourself to a steady pace per paper. A good idea is about 8 to 10 minutes, depending on how long or complex the paper is. Tip number 5 is to figure out the time you need for the total number of papers you have to grade and divide that by the number of days you have available for grading. So for instance, if you have 50 papers, it's going to take you about 8.5 hours to grade them. If you've got 4 days to spread that out over, you're going to grade about 12 to 13 papers, spending a little over 2 hours per day doing that. The benefit of this is definitely for you and the student. The beginning of the batch is going to get the same focus and attention and quality comments that the end of the batch gets. And you're going to be more confident about the kinds of comments and grades that you're giving students for a batch of papers.